Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show. I'm your host Harun Sheikh. As you know, this show is all about the business people that we bring in to the show. Some entrepreneurs we bring in, and some experts we bring into, and we talk to them on this show. The show calls it, it's a business talk. We talk about the current businesses, where the businesses are going, where the investments are going, and what is happening specifically to our community members, which are spread all over the United States. So basically, we invite guests. A lot of time we have people that have stories to tell. We bring successful people. We bring, like I said, many a times there are people who want to contribute things to and say this to the people, so they can get some inspiration and some motivation from there. So as usual, this is a live in show. You can call. The telephone number is on the screen. If you have any question from the guest or from the show or from me, please feel free to call. The number is on the screen, and this is again TV1 USA BizTalk we are watching. So today we have with us our guest, Ms. Saima Seer. She is a registered interior designer and CEO of her own firm. It's called Alima Design Inc. Previously, she was a senior designer and project manager for the design firm, another company here in town. But her firm focuses on very high-end commercial and residential design, focusing on turnkey project from the beginning from the concept all the way to the completion. She is also a contributor and published in various design magazines, and socially she's active, and she also does a philanthropic work. Especially, she was a lead designer when the Houston Furniture Bank facility, and this is a non-for-profit organization which donates furniture to the needy people. So let's welcome Saima. Welcome to BizTalk. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in and joining us. And so,
thank you, Harun, for inviting me to talk about myself and my firm.
yeah,
Looking forward to this.
yeah. So let's start from your story. I was reading a little bit about you. So you went to actually U of H, University of Houston, and you went into this designing, or you call it interior designing, and architecture situation. So how did that happen? You want to tell a little bit about you? So.
Well, I was actually born and raised here, meaning in the U.S. I was born in Chicago.
All right.
My childhood we moved around a lot. We moved from Chicago to New York to California to Oklahoma, and then I eventually landed here in Houston once I started college. Really, my inspiration are my parents.
Okay.
It starts with them.
Yes.
Usually, all things start with your
Yeah,
parents.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
They do have quite a bit of influence on child's
yeah.
upbringing and what they wanted to.
Upbringing was really different for
Yeah,
me, at
yeah.
least. I would say I'm atypical for most Pakistani heritage
Right.
people. That my parents came at a young age in their teens and went to college here in the 60s.
That's pretty long time ago.
That's
but
a long
early.
time ago. I hear stories of my uncle coming on the old school ship.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't even you flew here. So
Oh, wow.
they came here to study
Yeah.
and start their lives
Yeah.
away from Pakistan. And as I was born here, all my sisters were born here. As we were raised very differently. I was never, my parents were very strong about their heritage.
Yes,
We
of
always
course.
knew everything. Whether it was Islam, whether it
Yeah.
was the Pakistani heritage.
And the
They
culture.
made sure the culture
Yes.
was big, and they were big on keep the good and get rid of the bad.
Yeah,
It was
right.
constantly said in our
That's-
home.
yeah,
So they
that's-
were always like, oh, this was a really great thing.
Yeah.
So we loved, all the different things that people do.
Yeah. Right.
But I personally didn't focus on, the
Right.
negative things that were
Right,
there.
right, yeah.
I ended up thinking it was utopia
Right,
at
yeah,
one point,
yeah.
but then you grow up.
Right.
Uh, Growing up, my dad was in electrical. His basic background was electrical engineering, and then
Okay.
he went on to have his PhD in international
Okay.
business and is well known in his field.
How are you?
His hobby would be to take these old historical buildings
Okay.
and renovate them.
Okay.
So I grew up
So
even
now
as a
that's
child.
oh okay.
Yes,
So now I see
going
where this
into these
interior
places.
designer got into your.
So it was really, yeah,
Okay,
the
okay.
building and him being an engineer, so he would figure things
Yeah.
out. And I mean, that was his way of relaxing.
So okay.
Even as a baby, I mean, while they went to, they went to their classes, my babysitter was a neighbor. He was, I think, an old Polish man.
Yeah.
The days were different. It was
Okay.
the 70s. So he would take me to go watch concrete trucks and things to be built. So I had a fascination
did
of
have-
these things.
So is
from
that
the
why you
beginning.
decided to go to into your bachelor's degree
Yes.
in interior
So
designing?
eventually, like even in high school, I took courses that
Okay.
were that, and they
Okay.
we were lucky. We had
Okay.
honors type courses where they were intensive courses.
Okay.
You did your blueprints and
Okay.
things like that.
Okay.
They weren't just decorative type
Yeah,
classes. So eventually, when I moved here, I had actually acceptances and scholarships all
Okay.
through the U.S.
Oh.
And we moved here due to my husband. I was
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
And I decided U of H over Rice because
Yeah.
they had both an architecture
Yeah, right.
and an interior design
Right,
program, and
right.
I wanted to focus on both.
So tell me what you did after you graduated from from U of H degree. Did you
So
professionally?
once I graduated, a interior design degree is about a 5-year degree. It's
Oh,
not
wow.
your typical 4-year degree. There are very few universities that do.
Let me ask a question
Yeah.
before, we talk about it.
Yeah.
What exactly is the interior design? What do you do? What do students learn?
So in
Interior
interior
designing. What does that
design,
mean? I
it's a
heard about it.
mix.
A lot of people. Interior design. What is it?
So
You
there's
want
a
to talk
big
about that?
difference.
What
I
is
know
it?
a lot of people will say, okay, you're a decorator. Well,
Okay.
that's the wrong term.
Okay.
Interior design or interior designers are certified by
Okay.
the architectural board.
Okay.
You have to take an exam.
Okay.
You have to do a 2-year minimum internship
Okay.
before you take your exam.
Okay.
The exam is a 2-day exam.
Wow. Wow.
About 3 to 5% pass
Right.
it.
Right. Oh,
That's-
wow. That's 3
That's
to 5.
a really difficult exam.
Wow.
You have 1 full day, 8 hours of practical,
Right.
where you have to design
So-
everything, and 1 full day of laws. You have to
Yeah.
learn all the state laws and the
Oh,
country's laws for
okay.
building. So
Yeah.
it's
So now, but you what's the difference between an interior designer and an architect? Let's put it this way. Now, architect calculates the weight and everything else.
Yes. So they make sure that the details and the structural are
Okay.
working.
Okay.
Interior designers will have that understanding, and they
Okay.
do have to know it, but they not to the point that an architect
Okay. So they take it
will
to
have
the
it.
next level.
Architects will take it to the next level.
Next level.
And I can, once I stamp, just like you get a blueprint,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I have a stamp too.
Okay.
So once it's
okay.
stamped on there, like it's stamped by,
Oh.
this architect did it.
Oh,
I have
okay.
a registration number. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
I am liable
Yeah.
by
Your
law.
license basically in a
It's
sense.
it's a license
Yeah,
like any
yeah.
other
Right,
professional
right. So it is-
field.
So
Yeah.
it's different than when we say interior decorator.
Yes.
A lot of people get
So
confused.
that
I mean,
is
I
not-
used to get
that is
confused
not
between the two.
governed by
Anybody
law.
can become a
I
decorator.
mean, it's just, think of this, an interior designer has to think of the health and safety and welfare
Oh,
of a person.
Right, right.
If the building falls down that I designed with
Yeah.
the architect or even without them,
Yeah.
there's different levels
Right,
that
right.
you would do. Even
Yeah.
interior design field is
Right,
so vast.
right.
I can be liable, can go to jail,
Sure,
etc. A decorator is only supposed to do surface
Well, yeah,
things.
Yeah,
Yes.
things that are-
They should not be involved
Yes,
with
right.
those things. If
Okay.
they are, that's illegal.
right.
That's a big deal.
So after that, when you did this your degree and you got the registration with the Texas Board of Architect or
Yes.
registered interior designer with
Yeah.
Texas Board of Architect. So what was that you went to work for a company or something or what?
So after I got my degree,
Yes.
I had to then, as I told you earlier,
Yes.
we have to get an internship.
Oh.
So you become a project manager
Oh.
for them, and you really start off. You want to start at that level. You
Okay.
don't want to start at an upper level because
Yeah,
you
right.
need to learn all the
The
nuts and
basics.
bolts.
Yeah.
And when I say nuts and bolts, I mean like even if you're building a chair, you're gonna need to tell them what joint to make it
Yeah,
in. Do
yeah.
you use screws or nails or not?
Right,
And what
right.
kind of finish and how
Right, right.
I mean like a chair is so simple, yet if you
yeah.
really look at it,
Yeah,
there's so many parts.
there's
And
a
if it
science
falls apart,
behind it.
there is a
Right.
science, and you can laugh about it, but it is.
But there is a
Now
science.
think
I mean,
about it, if you go put 500 of these in a commercial job and they
Yeah.
all start falling apart, who's
Oh,
responsible?
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are, and then you have to look at a lot of things
So
now.
you were like 2000. You were 3 years probably
Yeah, with
about 3
a
years.
big firm. I wanted to focus on luxury
yeah,
residential. I
yeah.
wanted to also do commercial, but
Right,
they did
right.
not do that much
Yeah,
over there.
yeah.
But I kept up with the current
Okay. All right.
laws, and
Yeah.
I would take extra courses. So after you become a designer, you're still required to take like 12 hours per year.
Wow, wow.
And they're very strict. You can
Well,
walk in 3 minutes late, and
yeah.
they say, no, you can't
I
have
can
it.
see, what struggles you have to do to learn this technique.
Yeah.
But we'll continue on then after
Yes.
we come back. It's a break time. We'll come
All
back
right,
break.
no
This is
problem.
an amazing thing. I want to get a little bit more into what exactly that is encompasses. So Nazreen, we break time आ गया, तो we are talking to Saima Seer, and she's the registered interior designer and has her own firm. So we'll be right back, and stay tuned.